All right, we'll resume. And the first thing we'll do is to give the exhibit MS-81C to the witness to read as requested by him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I, Mr. Chairman? The letter is coming from the Office of the President, State House, Banjul.
Can we have...
The letter is coming from the Office of the President, State House, Banjul, dated 4th January 2016, addressed to the Managing Director, Social Security and Finance Corporation, Banjul. And it was signed by one Noah Toure for Secretary General and copied to MD, KGI Limited, and MD, Guarantee Trust Bank Gambia Limited. It reads, GTB Credit Facility Guarantee. I write with reference to your letter, that is in response to your letter of 15th December 2015 on the above caption, which was addressed to the Managing Director of Kaninlai Group International, KGI, in brackets. The said letter was brought to the attention of this office, and I have been instructed to inform you that KGI has nothing to do with the $2 million credit facility in question, as it was not negotiated with the authorization of this office. Therefore, the matter should be taken up with those who took the loan without authorization, that is, Mr. Usman Y. Bojang and Mohamed Bazi. Moreover, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation was written to in 2012 to withdraw their guarantee. Government acknowledges a loan of $750,000 by installment to invest in Gamvej, but we are no longer interested in the factory. Therefore, government is withdrawing from the deal immediately and asking for refund of the amount so far paid, after which the factory could be sold by the bank if they wish.
You wanted to explain this letter?
Yes, I wanted to explain this letter in relation to the guarantee. I think this letter is explicit, especially if you look at where it says, therefore, the said letter was brought to the SNO, where it says, therefore, the matter should be taken up with those who took the loan without authorization. That is, Usman Y. Bojang and Mohamed Bazi. So, the relevance of this letter is to buttress the fact that I was, from the beginning, not involved in the negotiations. I was kept in the dark, and there was no time that I, in any way, involved myself in this transaction. It was after the fact that I knew about all this.
Mr. Samba, you are a director of Gamvej, were you not?
Well, I was a director, but like I said, I was not involved in the management neither was I involved in the financial activities of the company. I was an investor.
You were a signatory to the account also, were you not?
Yes, I was a signatory to the account, but there was no single occasion where I signed a check or did any financial transaction. Of course, in the opening of the accounts, they requested for my signature or whatever, but there was no single occasion where I signed a check or did a transfer or did anything, any financial activity relating to this company. Like I said, I was just a mere investor.
But as signatory to the account, you got bank statements?
Pardon?
As signatory to the account, you received bank statements?
Never. In fact,
You didn't receive bank statements?
No, I never received any bank statement. The only occasion where I applied for the bank statement was when I received the summons to appear in connection with GAMVET. That is when I called the managing director to furnish me with the statement. But there was never an occasion where a statement was sent to me. There was never an occasion where I signed any check. There was never an occasion where I was involved in the management of GAMVET.
And you did not think it appropriate to ask for a bank statement as a director of the company?
Well, like for me, it's not very important because at the end of the day, I mean, when you entrust management to the management, whatever, I don't think it is appropriate for me to start involving myself in the financial activities or requesting for statements.
But Mr. Samba, you know being director carries with it a certain responsibility.
I know
yes,
that.
You can appoint management,
No,
but you
I
cannot...
know that very well. But
if I may finish, Mr. Samba.
Yes.
You can appoint management, but you cannot abdicate responsibility to management.
That is quite correct. But what I'm saying is, like, in GAMVET, there was never a board meeting.
Why not? You were 50% shareholder.
I was 50%.
You were director of the company.
I was 50% shareholder. But the company didn't live long enough. It started and we realized that there was a lot of competition from these people importing palmolene, the poor quality oil. That's when we stopped. So we didn't have the time to really really do what we wanted to do.
This 700, the investment that, according to the records we have seen, which is 700,000 from government resources to GAMVET, was it refunded? Was it? Refunded.
I wouldn't know, because I was not involved.
After you saw the letter from, that is MS-81C,
yes,
dated 4th January 2016,
yes,
whereby directives were given for a refund.
No, actually, when I saw the letter...
No, let me finish my question.
Sorry, sir. Sorry,
Did you check whether a refund had been made?
When I saw this letter, that is when I called Mohamed Bazi to explain to me how and how much was the amount that was paid in advance for this factory. And, you know, he told me that he thinks it's 300, but he will check, something like that.
But Mr. Samba, you had a responsibility. You should have checked yourself. You had the accounts, you were a signatory, you had access to them. Why did you not check?
Like I said, I was never part of this transaction. So as far as I am concerned, the people that they mentioned in the letter should take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, I was in the dark. I didn't know what was going on until I saw this letter. So I'm not really, I never negotiated with the president regarding GAMVET. There was
I'm sure you will appreciate that it's a company. And since the company and you're a shareholder and director, the company had responsibility to refund this money for a transaction that had aborted according to the letter.
Yes, but...
So I would expect that you would check how much it is, and particularly $750,000 is not small,
With
a small
respect.
amount of money. Yes.
With respect, I didn't check. Because as far as I'm concerned, I was not involved in the negotiation. So anything I say might not be the true situation. That is why I never bothered to check. Because this letter is quite specific.
Very well, but you
That the
would,
people that, sorry, ma,
but you would agree that GAMVEG remained responsible for the amount.
definitely. Gamvej will
All right,
be
thank you.
responsible for the amount because,
Now-
I mean, it is the company. But what I'm saying is, I don't know anything about the negotiations. I don't know anything about financial transfers or anything that happened.
Mr. Samba, you have said that a couple of times.
Yes.
And my response to that to you would be to consider whether as director you can be in a position to make that statement as director of a company.
As director of a company?
Yes.
Definitely yes. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if you are not part of a negotiation,
That absolves you of
I was
responsibility.
not a party to the negotiations.
But the negotiation, don't you think the negotiation was for the benefit of GAMVEG, and therefore responsibility lies with the board of directors?
The negotiation was for the benefit of
GAMVEG,
Gamvej.
yes. So
Yes,
the responsibility
they-
lay with the board of directors.
There is no doubt about that.
Okay.
There is no doubt
Thank-
about
thank
that.
you.
But what I'm saying is, I cannot go into the nitty-gritty of whatever they negotiated.
All right, very
But
well.
as a
Now-
company, if there is a transfer to the company, I mean, we will take responsibility.
Thank you. Now, I'd just like you to explain why, the circumstances of, we've talked about the 750,000, which is in the letter, and there's the 2 million credit facility. So if I understand it, KGI borrowed money from, or opened this, I think it's a facility actually with, credit facility with GT Bank. And then they asked Social Security to guarantee it. Is that what happened?
From what I heard,
Yes.
you know, in fact, I got to know about this because I'm the chairman of GT Bank. What happened was KGI got this guarantee from Social Security in order to pay for the factory. But when I later spoke to Mohamed Bazi, he told me that they were just using this guarantee temporarily until they can make good the total amount, that's as KGI. Then they will refund the guarantee.
When did you have this discussion with Muhammad Bazi?
Very recent. Very recent.
Very recently.
I
as in-
called him, yes. I called him because
When? Sorry, can you be more precise?
I think last week when I received this thing,
see.
I called him in order for him to throw light on this whole business.
But Mr. Samba, do you realize that this money was paid into GAMVEG accounts in January 2012, $2 million?
$2 million was paid into Gamvej account.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there was a guarantee.
Sundry entries, transfer
No.
of liability from GAMVEG.
No, I
Yes.
think as far as from what I understand, there was a guarantee of $2 million.
Yes.
It's not like there was a transfer of physical $2 million into the account. There was a guarantee of $2 million. In fact, that is what prompted this letter. GT Bank wrote to the president. I knew about it because as chairman, we discussed it at the board level and we said that we should call in the guarantee because it has been pending for quite a while. In fact, we did that with a lot of hesitation because considering the way he can react, we considered it,
Sorry, the way, sorry?
no, you know, like before we wrote to the president to tell him that we wanted to call the guarantee. It took us a long time because we were thinking, how would he react? Would he close GT Bank? Would he, you know, all sorts of things came into our mind. And eventually, we took the step by writing to him. And it's in response to that letter, this is in response to the letter, requesting KGI requesting, telling the president that we are going to, writing to the president to say that we are going to call in the guarantee of $2 million.
Well, from MS-81C, the letter was in response to a letter written by Managing Director, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. The letter of the President of 4th January 2016, MS-81C, which you have, is in response to a letter written by Social Security and not a letter written by GT
Yes,
Bank.
I'm sure the bank wrote to Social Security because they are the party involved in this transaction. They wrote to Social Security, to tell them that the bank want to call in the guarantee. And of course, because the president was involved, the Social Security wrote to President's office, and that's when they responded with this letter.
In fact, Mr. Samba, GT Bank did call in the guarantee on the 28th of December 2015 and debited Social Security accounts with $80 million.
Yes.
Yes, and it was later reversed, but it was
later reversed. That's what I'm saying.
It was reversed in July 2016.
This is what I'm saying. In fact, I have the letter, the board resolution reversing this. I have it here. If you may permit me, I will read it out.
You can read it if you wish, if you think it will be helpful to the Commission. Okay.
Can I?
Yes, certainly.
Resolution of the Board of Directors of Guarantee Trust Bank Gambia Limited.
It has not been tendered. Do you have any other documents relating to that? It has not been admitted yet. So let's have the document and any other document relating to the guarantee that you would like admitted.
This is the
That's the only one you would like admitted?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Can we admit it first? Then we'll give it back to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The underlining is by yourself.
I did it, yes, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's your document. I just want to confirm.
I have a fresh copy. You can have this. That's better.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I would apply to have admitted resolution of the Board of Directors of Guarantee Trust Bank Limited at a meeting held in the boardroom of Guarantee Trust Bank on the 20th of July 2016, signed by Guarantee Trust Bank officials, dated 20th of July 2016, yes.
resolution of the Board of Directors of Guarantee Trust Bank dated 28th July 2016 in respect of the approval for the reversal for a set of transactions made against Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation relating to a facility availed to KGI and secured by a corporation as by a corporate guarantee by SSHFC, admitted mark MS 82.
Could you kindly hand over MS 82 to the witness, please?
No, I have a copy.
You have a copy. Very well. That's useful.
Can I
You
read?
can read it, certainly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Resolution of the Board of Directors of Guarantee Trust Bank, Gambia Limited, at a meeting held in the boardroom of Guarantee Trust Bank, Gambia Limited, 56 Kairaba Avenue, Fajara, on the 20th July 2016 at 2:55 p.m. At a duly convened meeting of the Board of Directors of Guaranteed Trust Bank, Gambia Limited, held in the boardroom of the bank at 56 Kairaba Avenue, Fajara, on the 20th July 2016 at 2:55 p.m., the Board of Directors unanimously granted approval for the reversal of a set of transactions made against Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation in respect of a facility availed to Kanilai Group Investment, which was secured by a corporate guarantee by Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, dated 20th day of July 2016, signed by the Executive Director, Aissatou Jawara, and Bolaji Ayodele, Managing Director.
Okay. You were chairman at the time. You
Chairman
said
of-
you were chairman of Guarantee Trust Bank at
Yes,
the time.
I was chairman.
Why did it take 6 months to do the reversal? The letter of the Office of the President was dated 4th January 2016.
I think it's because we didn't have the occasion to meet as a board. I mean, this thing came, but then, you know, we didn't have the opportunity, or we didn't have the occasion to meet as a board, because most of the directors come from Nigeria. We have to give them notice in advance. You know, I mean, it's a big group.
All right. I just needed to understand.
Yeah.
But as you know, meanwhile, Social Security, the refund was the refund of the principal, right? There was no interest, no return on the funds for 6 months.
Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know, Ma, because this was purely a banking issue. And at the board level, you know, we are not informed about these things.
Very well. Now, Mr. Samba, what assets does GAMVEG own?
GAMVEG, actually, they own the machineries. The machineries, we have, like, it was a refinery. I mean, it has the capacity to refine palmolene, that is bleaching it and making it into vegetable oil. We also, GAMVEG, we have the machinery for soybean oil. We also imported an additional machinery which costed us about $300 and something thousand for refining groundnut oil. Then we also
This plant, okay.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Then
Yes.
we also have a jerry can for the containers. We have machines. That is, we used to import the grains in order to mold jerry cans, 20 liters, 10 liters, you know. We all have all that. Then we also have, I think, trucks, tanks, etc.
The plant and machinery, are they still on site?
I hope they are on site, because really, since the president took it over, we no longer had access.
When did the president take it over?
Oh, immediately. That is when we stopped production. That is when I think he started negotiating with Mohamed Bazi. And all of a sudden, I saw soldiers guarding the place, and I never entered that premises since then.
Mr. Samba, but nothing changed on the... Was there a sale agreement?
Pardon?
Was there a sale agreement between the president or KGI and either the shareholders or the company?
No, there was no sale agreement.
There was no sale agreement.
I don't think there was a sale agreement, because the whole thing was negotiated by Mohamed Bazi and Pa Bojang.
What was the intention? What was the intention?
I think the intention was the president wanted to take over the place, to buy the place.
Are you saying, Mr. Samba, that being 50% owner of this company, you were not consulted as to the sale of the property, the sale of the company itself or its assets?
Really?
You were not consulted?
To tell you the truth, I frowned upon it. Immediately I heard that the president negotiated with Mohamed Bazi, that he wanted the place, and they told me that it was a guarantee coming from Social Security. I straight away, in my mind, thought that this was not right.
What was going to be the purchase price?
I don't even know, because I never negotiated. I was kept in the dark.
You said that. You said you never negotiated.
Yes.
But
I wouldn't know the purchase price.
Mr. Samba, a sale of 15% of a company cannot go through without the approval or the consent, I think is the better word, without the consent of the 50% owner of the company. Yes, you know that.
Can you allow me to answer that?
So, no, let me finish first. So we heard that somebody else negotiated. We've heard you say that. But you must have been consulted, as you, I think, admitted, and you may have frowned on it, but surely the terms of the sale would have been brought to your attention. How much was it that the president was going to pay for Gamvej?
Definitely, I didn't know.
You did not know? I
did not know. I mean, the transaction was never consummated.
But you consented to it?
No, allow me. Allow me, ma, I'm sorry. The transaction was never consummated. It was in the process. It was in the process. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the money was not paid in full or whatever amount was it. So there was no agreement as such.
Mr. Samba, there is a difference between consummating a transaction and entering into a transaction. For it to be consummated and for the president to pay a deposit, as he called it, installment, there must have been some agreement.
I don't know.
You don't know what the agreement was? I don't know about the
existence of any agreement.
Okay. Did you find out from Mr. Bazi whether he signed the sale agreement?
No, not really.
Right. Mr. Samba, you mentioned the plant and machinery. You have submitted through the investigators title deed covering the premises at Denton Bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Apart from the premises on Denton Bridge, is there any other premises owned by Gamvej?
No.
The title deed you have submitted, which is the copy is not very clear. I hope you will have a better copy, which is a lease serial registration number. Do you have another copy? I can read the lease serial registration number.
Yes, I used to have a copy. But you carry on, please.
Yes, it's a title deed in the name of Amasa Fishing Company Limited.
Exactly.
What is Amasa Fishing Company Limited?
Amasa is like Amadou Samba.
Okay.
Shortened, Amasa Fishing Company. This was a company I incorporated.
So it owns the premises where the factory was built?
Well, the land is in the name of Amasa Fishing Company. Although the objects, if you look at the objects, it talks about refinery.
It talks about
Refinery.
the objects of...
The objects of Amasa is talking about
unfortunately,
refinery.
we don't have the objects. Can you make it available? The objects, the
I have the title
memorandum.
deed.
The memorandum.
Allow me, let me check.
Yeah, the memorandum and
Yeah,
articles.
that's it here. That's it here.
You have the memorandum and
No,
articles.
this is, let me see.
Can you also check whether you have a better copy of this lease in the name of Amasa Fishing
Yes,
Company
let me
Limited?
check, let me check.
Yes.
Amasa Holding Offshore. I have a copy. I definitely have a copy. What I don't know is, I think
Yes, sure.
she might have.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Samba wants to assist. Yes, definitely.
Oh, certainly, yes.
You have the copy?
You can help as legal counsel. Yes.
Yeah. This is the one. I have it here. Amasa Fishing Company.
What document are you mentioning, the memorandum or the lease?
This is the list.
What is the serial registration number?
It's not very. It's not very legible. It's not very legible, definitely.
All right. We'll give
Do
you
you
the
want to look
opportunity.
at it?
You did provide a copy, which is also not very legible.
Yeah.
But do you have the memorandum and articles?
I
will
do.
apply to admit them, but you would have to bring the original so we can compare the lease and return your original.
Okay.
All right. Do you have the memorandum and articles of Amasa
Gamvej.
Fishing Company?
The
Of
memorandum-
Amasa Fishing Company Limited?
No, I don't actually. I mean, in fact, I have deregistered this company because I no longer operate fishing company.
You mentioned that if you look at its objects, it had oil, and so we need to look at the objects.
Yeah, the objects-
Can you provide?
Yeah.
We would require, Mr. Samba,
Yes.
a moment. We will require that you provide the memorandum and articles of Amasa Fishing Company Limited.
That is, can I answer? That is what I said, that this, I deregistered Amasa Fishing Company, but I still look for the memorandum and articles.
When did you deregister it, and what do you mean by deregistration?
Meaning that the company was no longer functional. That's why I deregistered it.
Is it a company registered in Gambia?
It's a company registered in the Gambia, yes.
Was it struck out or liquidated?
It
Was it
not
struck off or liquidated?
I don't think it was liquidated. Maybe struck off. I can't imagine. I can't remember.
But you realize that to the extent that it owns assets, it cannot just be struck off.
Pardon?
To the extent that it owns assets, it owns land, it has a lease, it cannot just be struck off.
Okay. Okay, but my intention really was to transfer the title to Gamvej.
Okay, but this was never done.
It was never done because, you know, I'm sorry to speak like that, but it was never done because as soon as we started, like I said, we closed the company and the president took it over, the former president, so we couldn't go through this process, but it was intended.
All right. We would also, when you come back, like you to be more precise as to when the president took over the facility for the purpose of our
Yes,
investigation.
yes, I will do that, ma'am.
Can I have the document that you have? Mr. Chairman, I would apply to admit it with the caveat or condition that the witness will produce
I think you already have a copy.
the original. I'll tender yours. This copy is the investigation file copy. Do you have, or you don't have any other copy?
Mary.
If you don't have any other copy, we'll have mine admitted. The condition would be that the witness will produce the original, so that a better copy can be made and the serial registration number can be ascertained. It's a lease dated 22nd of May, 2006. Unfortunately, the serial registration number is not legible.
lease dated 22nd May 2006 between the Secretary of State responsible for the administration of the State Lands Act and Amasa Fishing Company Limited in respect of land at Denton Bridge Layout. The SR number not legible but to be confirmed in due course. Admitted marked MS-83.
Mr. Chairman, are we breaking for lunch?
Half past 2. Well, we'll rise. We'll be back at 2:30.